You clicked on this video for a reason. And before you skip, before you tell yourself this is just another story, I need you to listen carefully, because what you are about to hear has happened to real people more times than anyone wants to admit. Somebody opened a bank account under your name. Not yesterday, not last week, a long time ago. And right now, money is moving through it. Large amounts, strange amounts, amounts that don't make sense. But that's not even the disturbing part. The disturbing part is where the money is going. Because according to a source that contacted this channel only hours ago, every transfer connected to this hidden account leads to one final destination. And somehow, that destination is connected to you. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This is impossible. There's no way. I would know. No, you wouldn't. Because the people who create these accounts don't want you to know. They count on silence. They count on delay. They count on confusion. And tonight, we're exposing everything. But I need your full attention. Because somewhere in this story, you're going to recognize something. A date, a message, a strange phone call, a random email, a document you ignored years ago. And when that moment happens, do not leave this video. Because the final revelation changes everything. Especially if your first name begins with a R, S, M, or K. You were not supposed to find this information. Yet here you are. And that means this message may have reached you at exactly the right time. Listen carefully. 3 nights ago, an anonymous investigator sent a voice note to this channel at exactly 2:13 a.m. No name, no photo, no location, only one sentence. A financial chain is about to collapse, and thousands of people still don't know their names are attached to it. At first, nobody believed it. But then the documents started arriving. Bank screenshots, transaction logs, account records. Every single file carried the same pattern. Different cities, different banks, different identities. But one thing kept repeating. The real account holders had no idea the accounts existed. Some accounts were opened using old-school documents. Some used forgotten SIM cards. Some were linked to email addresses people hadn't touched in years. And the scariest part? Many of the victims were ordinary people. Students, workers, parents, people living normal lives. Which means this could happen to anyone, even you. Now here's where things become truly terrifying. One woman discovered a hidden account after receiving a missed call from a number she didn't recognize. She ignored it. But hours later, her phone received a banking OTP. Then another. Then another. By the next morning, she found out over 47 lakh rupees had moved through an account opened in her name. But she never opened it. She never signed anything. And according to the bank records, the account had existed for over 6 years. 6 years. Imagine that. For 6 years, money had been flowing through an identity connected to her, while she lived completely unaware. Now listen carefully because this next part matters. When investigators traced the transfers, they noticed something disturbing. The money never stayed in one place. It moved fast, account to account, city to city, country to country, almost like someone was trying to erase the trail before anyone could see it. But eventually, Every transfer reached one final account, one master account, and nobody knows who controls it. That's when people started calling it the Shadow Vault, a hidden destination where funds disappear forever. But wait, this is where your role becomes important, because according to leaked records, many of these fake accounts were created using people who shared one common experience. Think carefully. Did someone ever ask for your PAN card unexpectedly? Did you ever lose a wallet? Did someone ever photocopy your Aadhaar and keep it longer than necessary? Did you ever receive random banking messages and ignore them? Did you ever sign documents without fully reading them? Because that's exactly how it starts. Not with hacking, not with dramatic crimes, with tiny moments, tiny mistakes, tiny permissions, and years later, those moments become weapons. Now I need to tell you about a man named Arjun, not his real name, but what happened to him changed everything. Arjun worked a normal job, quiet life, nothing unusual. Until one evening he tried applying for a home loan. The bank manager stared at him strangely, then asked a question that froze his blood. Why do you already have 4 active accounts under investigation? 4 accounts. Arjun thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. His identity had been used for years, and during the investigation, authorities discovered transactions linked to properties, shell companies, and massive cash transfers, all under his name. He kept saying the same sentence over and over again. I didn't do any of this. But the record said otherwise. Do you understand how dangerous that is? A system doesn't care about emotions. It cares about data. And if the data says your name is attached, you become part of the story whether you like it or not. Now here's something even stranger. Some victims reported having recurring dreams before discovering the accounts. Dreams about locked rooms, unknown numbers, documents burning, faceless people watching them. Coincidence? Maybe. But too many people reported the same patterns. And then something happened investigators still can't explain. One of the hidden accounts suddenly transferred all remaining funds at exactly 3:33 a.m. No human login, no visible device, no traceable IP address, just one final transfer. And the reference note attached to it said only this: they know now. Imagine reading that. Imagine discovering money has moved through your identity for years, and somewhere out there, someone realizes you're starting to notice. This is why you must stay until the end. Because there's one sign almost every victim ignored before discovering the truth. One sign. And if you miss it, you may never see the danger coming. But before I reveal it, there's something else you need to hear. Not every hidden account is used for crime. Some are used for something even more disturbing. Control, fake debt, artificial income, invisible financial manipulation. Some people suddenly find their credit ruined overnight. Others discover mysterious tax notices. Some lose opportunities because hidden financial activity changes their records behind the scenes. And by the time they realize what happened, the damage is already done. Now listen very carefully. The biggest clue almost always appears quietly, not dramatically. You receive an email you don't recognize, a bank alert from an unfamiliar branch, A verification message at strange hours. A call that disconnects instantly. Most people ignore these things, but victims later realized those moments were warnings. Tiny cracks in the illusion. Tiny signs something hidden was already active. And if you've experienced this recently, do not ignore it anymore. Because according to experts, these operations are becoming more sophisticated every year. Some accounts remain hidden for decades. Decades. Can you imagine living your entire life while another version of your identity secretly moves through financial systems you never see? That possibility terrifies people once they understand it. And now, I need to tell you about the most chilling case of all. A retired teacher discovered a hidden account after her husband passed away. At first it seemed minor, until investigators opened transaction records. The account had received deposits every single month for 19 years. 19. But no one knew where the money came from. Then they found something impossible. The sender account belonged to a person officially declared dead in 2004. Yet the transfers continued long after that date. Same timing, same amount, every month. Who was sending the money? Nobody knows. And before investigators could continue, the account vanished from the system. Gone. As if it never existed. That case remains unsolved even now. Now pause for a second and think carefully. How many documents have you shared over the years? How many forms? How many registrations? How many forgotten photocopies? You trust systems because you have to. But trust is exactly what these operations exploit. And there's one final detail nobody expected. Some victims eventually discovered the money being transferred wasn't random at all. The amounts carried patterns, dates, birthdays, coordinates, codes hidden inside transaction numbers, almost like messages. And one investigator believes these transfers may be communication signals between hidden networks, not ordinary banking activity. Signals. If that's true, then the people behind these accounts are far more organized than anyone imagined. Now here comes the part that made thousands of viewers freeze the first time they heard it. Investigators say the hidden account connected to you may already be active. Not someday. Not in the future. Right now. At this exact moment. While you're listening to this video, something could already be moving through your name. And if you suddenly remembered a strange message, a missing document, a suspicious phone call, that's not coincidence anymore. That's your memory trying to warn you. But the final revelation is still ahead. Because there's one question nobody has answered. Where does all the money ultimately go? After months of investigation, one leaked document finally revealed a location. Not a bank branch. Not an office. An abandoned building. No signboard, no cameras, no public records. Inside that building, investigators reportedly found dozens of shredded identity documents, passports, PAN cards, photographs, bank forms, and on one wall, hundreds of names, people from different cities, different ages, different lives. Connected by one thing, hidden accounts. Then investigators noticed something horrifying. Some names on the wall belonged to people who hadn't discovered the truth yet. which means the operation was still active, still growing, still collecting identities, and before authorities could return with a larger team. The building burned down overnight. No survivors, no evidence, no explanation, only ashes, but one piece survived, one single paper. On it was written a sentence investigators refused to release publicly. Until now. Are you ready for this? The sentence said, "Every identity becomes profitable eventually." Think about that. To someone out there, identities are products, lives are tools, and names become pathways for money. That's why this message matters. Because awareness is the only thing these operations fear. Silence protects them. Confusion protects them. Delay protects them. But attention destroys them. And maybe that's why you were guided to this video tonight. Maybe someone needed you to hear this before it was too late. Maybe the strange feeling you had before clicking wasn't random at all. Because deep down, some part of you already sensed something was wrong. And now you know, somewhere, a hidden financial trail may already carry your name. And if you ignore the signs, the next discovery could arrive when you least expect it. At 2 a.m., in one phone call, one message, one frozen bank account, one knock at the door. By then, it may already be too late. So tonight, before you sleep, check carefully. Because the account running under your name may not stay hidden much longer, and when the truth finally surfaces, the destination of those transfers could shock everyone connected to you, especially the person watching this video right now. The next morning, something changed. Not online, not publicly, quietly, almost invisibly. 3 different viewers who watched part 1 of this story sent messages within the same hour. Different cities, different ages, different lives, but every message contained the exact same sentence. I think this is happening to me. At first, nobody understood how serious this was becoming. Then the screenshots arrived. One showed an old bank notification from 2019. Another showed a failed KYC verification from a bank the viewer never used. And the third message terrified everyone, because attached to it was a photograph. A photograph of a debit card issued in someone's name. A card they had never seen before. Listen carefully, because what happened next sounds impossible. The viewer who sent that photo claimed they discovered the card hidden inside an old book belonging to a relative who died years ago. No explanation, no envelope, just the card, activated, valid, and connected to an account still receiving money. Now imagine that feeling for a second. Holding proof that another version of your financial identity has existed behind your back this entire time. That's the moment people stop treating this as fiction, because suddenly, it becomes personal. And tonight, what I'm about to reveal goes even deeper than anyone expected. Because investigators discovered these hidden accounts aren't created randomly. Victims are selected, carefully, quietly, strategically, and if you match certain patterns, your identity becomes far more valuable. People with clean records, people who rarely check financial reports, people who trust easily, people who moved cities often, people who changed phone numbers multiple times. Those identities are considered perfect, invisible enough to avoid suspicion. Now here's where the story takes a darker turn. One investigator finally agreed to speak anonymously after years of silence. The interview lasted only 11 minutes. But in those 11 minutes, he revealed something that changed the entire investigation. He said many hidden accounts are not opened by strangers. They're opened by people close to the victim. Friends, old co-workers, relatives, former partners, people who had temporary access to documents years earlier. And according to him, the betrayal usually happens long before the victim notices anything unusual. That sentence alone made thousands of viewers replay the interview repeatedly, because suddenly people started remembering moments they had forgotten. Didn't my cousin borrow my ID once? Didn't that office keep my documents overnight? Didn't someone ask for my signature years ago? And that's the terrifying part. The danger rarely enters your life looking dangerous. It enters disguised as trust. Now listen closely because this next case still keeps investigators awake. A man in his 40s discovered 7 accounts under his identity spread across 3 different states. 7. Each account contained small transactions. Nothing dramatic. Nothing flashy. But together, the total crossed several crores. Yet no alarm triggered. Do you know why? Because the money moved slowly, carefully, like drops of water filling a hidden container. That's how sophisticated these systems have become. They don't want attention. They want invisibility. And invisibility is easier when nobody notices the pattern. But eventually, one mistake exposed everything. A transfer arrived with the wrong reference code. Only 4 words. Move before he notices. Those words changed the entire case. Because suddenly investigators realized something horrifying. Someone was actively monitoring the victims. Monitoring them. Watching to see who was getting suspicious. Watching to see who might uncover the accounts. And if that sounds unbelievable, wait until you hear what happened next. One victim claimed they began receiving blank phone calls every night after trying to close a suspicious account. No voice. No breathing. Nothing. Just silence. At exactly the same time every evening. Then one night, the silence ended. A distorted voice whispered only one sentence. You should have ignored it. The call disconnected immediately. Police traced nothing. No location. No owner. No trail. Now maybe you think these stories are exaggerated. But listen carefully. Fear changes people. Once victims discover hidden activity under their identity, they begin questioning everything. Every message. Every unknown number. Every document request. And honestly, maybe they should. Because investigators later discovered something even more disturbing. Some hidden accounts are intentionally left dormant for years before activation. Years. That means your identity could already be linked to an account that hasn't even started operating yet. Think about that. An invisible financial shadow waiting silently for the right moment. Now here comes the revelation nobody saw coming. During a private audit, one cybersecurity analyst noticed multiple hidden accounts connected by the same emergency contact number. When they traced the number, it led to a dead person, officially deceased. yet somehow still connected to active banking systems. That discovery opened an entirely new theory. What if these networks recycle identities? What if they don't stop after one victim? And suddenly, every unanswered case started connecting together like pieces of one enormous machine. Now I need your complete attention, because the next detail may explain why this video reached you tonight. According to leaked files, hidden accounts often become active after specific trigger events in a person's life. Moving to a new city, changing jobs, losing an old phone, replacing SIM cards, major emotional stress. Why? Because those moments create distraction, and distraction creates opportunity. That's when victims pay less attention to tiny warnings. Warnings like unfamiliar OTPs, or bank alerts arriving at strange hours, or emails saying verification successful, even though you verified nothing. Now let me tell you about the woman investigators called the Sleeper. Nobody knows her real name, but according to sources, she uncovered over 200 suspicious identities connected through dormant accounts. 200. And every trail eventually pointed toward the same hidden transfer network. The Shadow Vault. Remember that name, because people who get too close to it often disappear from investigations completely. Some quit suddenly. Some refuse interviews. Some delete years of research overnight. One investigator even wiped his entire online presence after claiming someone followed him home for 3 consecutive nights. Coincidence? Maybe. But fear leaves patterns. And patterns don't lie. Now here's the moment viewers weren't prepared for. One victim finally accessed a hidden account after months of legal requests. The balance shocked everyone. Not because it was enormous. Because it was precise. Exactly 888 rupees. No random numbers. No irregular amounts. Perfect symmetry. And attached to the account was a note. A single line hidden deep inside transaction metadata. If this account is opened, transfer everything immediately. Transfer where? Nobody knows. But before authorities could continue the investigation, every connected account emptied itself within minutes. Like someone flipped a switch. Dozens of accounts. Millions transferred. Gone instantly. That's when investigators realized these networks may operate in real time. Watching. Listening. Reacting. And if that's true, then somebody may already know you're hearing this story. Now breathe for a second and think carefully. Have you ever ignored a strange financial notification because life felt too busy? Most people have. That's exactly why these operations survive. Not because people are foolish. Because people are distracted. Modern life trains people to ignore tiny warnings. And hidden systems thrive inside ignored details. But the next revelation changed everything. One banking employee secretly leaked information showing that some suspicious accounts shared identical login patterns. Same hours. Same intervals. Same transfer behavior. Almost mechanical. Which led to a chilling theory. What if parts of these operations are automated? Not fully human. Systems creating systems. Accounts controlling accounts. Money moving through identities faster than victims can even understand. Now listen carefully because this part matters more than anything else. One expert said the most dangerous victims are those who believe, "This could never happen to me." That confidence becomes blindness. And blindness becomes vulnerability, which is why tonight's message may be more important than you realize. Because once an identity enters hidden circulation, removing it becomes incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible. And that brings us to the final discovery investigators tried to keep secret. Inside a corrupted database recovered during a financial raid, authorities found something labeled "priority list." Hundreds of names, some crossed out, some highlighted, some marked with symbols nobody understood. But beside a handful of names, investigators noticed a terrifying tag: "Ready for transfer." Nobody has publicly explained what that phrase means, but insiders believe it refers to identities prepared for large-scale financial movement. Prepared, waiting, silent until activated, and according to one anonymous source, new names are added constantly, which means somewhere tonight, another identity may already be entering the system. Another person living normally while invisible transactions prepare behind the scenes. Another person moments away from discovering a hidden reality connected to their own name. Maybe that person is far away. Maybe they'll never see this warning. Or maybe it's the person listening right now. Because the deeper investigators looked into these hidden accounts, the more one impossible question kept returning. What happens when the money finally stops moving? Nobody had the answer, until one final account suddenly went inactive last month. No transfers, no withdrawals, no movement, dead silence. Then exactly 12 hours later, the registered account holder disappeared. No goodbye, no activity, no trace. Only one thing remained behind: an unfinished handwritten sentence on a desk. It read, "They finally found out where the transfers were really going," and that's where the page ended.